So now, just days after Peter Obi's high-profile defection to the African Democratic Congress, a faction of the ADC led by Nafiu Bala Gombe has come out swinging, rejecting Obi's registration and calling it a violation of the party's constitution.
The faction insists that Obi's registration at the Enugu zonal office is invalid, citing a breach of the party's ward-level registration policy. This move threatens to derail what many see as a strategic coalition-building effort ahead of the 2027 general elections. But not to worry, we do have our guest who joins us here. He's the chairman of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Mr. George Ashiru joins us live, and thank you so much for being here. Here we go again. Another one right in front. Another one not right in front of us. We're journalists, but right in front of you. Another political party. It started with the PDP, went to the SDP, the former beautiful bride, and then moved to any other political party that would raise its neck up to say, hey, we are coming right as opposition. What would you make of this one? Invalid? Is it really invalid?
My brother, it's too late for those who are trying to inject their toxicity into ADC. It's too late. We crossed our T's and I's and the dots and whatever it is as a party of law and order long before the coalition was established. So all of this is the usual saber-rattling, sponsored, supported by those who probably thought because we did it successfully in these other parties, we could do it in ADC. So you cannot have people call themselves faction that are not recognized by anybody. Nobody has joined them. There's no coalition around them. They're not recognized by INEC. We are state chairmen, duly elected. None of us is part of what they're doing or even are aware of what they're doing. And what happened in Enugu was Peter Obi declaring for ADC. Very likely he had already concluded his registration process at the appropriate time. These are all politicians, they know the rules. So the fact that you do a public declaration that you're supporting a particular party is not an indication that you have not gone through the entire appropriate constitutional process in order to be a member of the party, which all the other people who are the leaders of the coalition have already done. So to me, it's a non-news, it's a non-issue. It's a group of people, they are our former colleagues. They feel the need to constantly be in the media, but they cannot even conduct congresses. They don't have the power to do so. Which neck meeting approved the leadership of this organization, these people that call themselves factions, who are the recognized leaders of the party that accepted that they are factions. So this is not a faction. This is just a group. You can't just let 8 people go on the media and talk, and then the whole world thinks this is a faction. And you want to compare that for an organization that's become a behemoth in recent times? No. It's not news as far as we're concerned, but it's necessary for us to counter it nonetheless.
All right. Nafiu Gombe's. You don't agree that it is a faction, and that always happens in political parties. Nobody ever admits the other faction. We on the outside, we see it as separate factions, and of course this rose as a result of internal leadership conflicts. Are there any possibilities of reconciliation in this new year? It's a new year, we're open to new things. Is there any possibility of reconciliation with the Nafiu Gombe-led faction of the ADC?
So now let us define what a faction is. Let's be careful that everyone who writes a piece of paper and who goes on television is a faction. A faction has to have some level of legitimacy. It has to have constitutional backing. It has to have a basis in law for saying that, we do have some rights. But none of this has been established with this institution. Everything they've ever tried to do has been rejected by the constitution, by the courts. So that is why we don't even see that. See, I'm a very practical and objective person, and I will never come in media and just politicize things that are legal. So that is the reason I have to say this so that the public are aware. There is no institution that exists outside of the known African Democratic Congress led by Senator David Mark that's recognized by any ADC member. Any ADC member in all the states. We are state chairmen. We don't have members in our states that are factions of that faction. So how is it a faction when in 36 states they don't have members? So it is not a faction. And let us deal with this issue. If this faction had existed, it would have existed before the coalition. So clearly it's just, like I say, they are citizens of Nigeria, they are former members of the party, they're people who are happy for Nigeria to progress, but they disagree with the way that it was done. But the reconciliation is possible when you are reaching out to the party to say, how can we fix it? It doesn't come by trying to disrupt what the majority, and I'm not talking about majority in terms of 51%. We're talking about 99.99%. Want for Nigeria. This is for Nigeria. It's a coalition to help Nigeria. So just trying to fight it for the sake of fighting it with having a vision of a positive, credible alternative in itself is an affront on the desires of Nigerians for a change. We want a change. It's as simple as that. And everybody has come together to make it happen. Look at how long it took even for Peter Obi to finally make up his mind to come. He must have looked at all of these issues. He must have seen whatever everybody's doing or saying. And these are people who have come from different political parties, been involved in governance, and they know how to make critical decisions. And that's why we're where we are. We are stronger now as a true political party, and indeed the most credible opposition and likely to take power in 2027.
Now, Mr. Ashiru, now that Mr. Peter Obi has joined your fold, you have quite a number of political gladiators who feel they have a right to seek for the highest office in the land. What would the selection process be like, and how can you make, because oftentimes we see that money plays an important part in the selection of the flag bearers of political parties. How can you minimize the impact of money and also ensure that whoever emerges the flag bearer of the ADC does follow your ethos and the manifesto of your political party, and it's not just a personal thing?
So the critical reference that I make all the time when I'm speaking about our party is that we're a stickler for the Constitution. We've had so many ideas and thoughts and suggestions that have come, even in the coalition. And once it does not align with the Constitution, we simply jettison it and say, look, we're not going to be able to defend this if someone takes us to court. We're not going to be able to defend this if someone challenges it legally. So we always...
sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Ashiru. When you say Constitution, do you mean the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the ADC's party constitution?
It is ADC's party's constitution, because when you make reference to how we're going to select our leaders, our constitution is a reference point. So if we are going to have properly elected individuals, as long as the guidelines and the rules and regulations that are set in accordance with the constitution of ADC, we will come out with a credible process. And that is what we are interested in doing. And that's what we are affirming that we're going to do and we're convicted to do. And this is very important for us because we know what we are facing. We know the institution that is against us. We know the political party that is in power that will do anything to disrupt what we are doing in the coalition. So we are ensuring that we don't provide any kind of loophole. Sun Tzu, who is an ancient Chinese general, says that before you go into any kind of war, you will win the war when you know yourself 50% and you know your adversary 50%, 100%. So critically, we understand what has happened to the other political parties. We're not going to let that happen to us. And that is a reference point, again, like I said, that we're not going to repeat the mistakes of the other political juggernauts and how they've been reduced to having to fight for survival. We're not going to make that mistake. We're going to ensure that impunity does not stand. And as much as in mobilization of cause, and therefore people are going to spend money mobilizing their supporters, that in itself is not a violation of the principle that money is spent in order to campaign. In America, when Obama was elected, he raised $6 billion. He spent $6 billion. Obviously, he spent it in rousing his supporters, in mobilizing his people. So that will always occur. It is impossible to campaign. It is impossible to prepare without some funding and expenditure. But as long as it does not violate the rights of the other persons in the ring, and it doesn't violate our party's constitution, then that's all right.
All right. Peter Obi, Mr. Peter Obi is a very strong name in modern politics here in Nigeria. And many have said it feels really good to have him join the ADC, regardless of the party issues with the Labour Party and so on. But for us, the big question would be, whenever we speak to members of the ADC like yourself, you have so many big names in one party. What's the assurance that comes and counts that Mr. Peter Obi would emerge as the number one candidate, especially during the primaries? That's one. Secondly, he has also said that he will not be going for a vice role or office. How does the ADC plan to manage this? Because you also have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who's also looking to run for presidency.
I think what is interesting is the fact that we completely avoid the mentioning of the possibility that Aderonke Junedu can end up coming out and then emerging as the presidential candidate of this party. We have so much fixation on the big names that it just doesn't occur to us that providence and divine interference and intervention can bring forth, somebody called Salako Junaid or somebody called Emeka Tukwu Emeka. The reality is that everybody has a right to their ambition. All of them, they have a right to their ambition. That's what politics is. It's about governance, and it's about winning elections. And that means there must be several aspirants, but only one will emerge at every level. At the presidency, at the governorship, at Senate, House of Rep, Houses of Assembly, only one person will represent their constituency. But we expect there to be many. That's what democracy is all about. If you have an endorsement before you do primaries, that's dictatorship. The kind that you are seeing in the party in power, where they're already endorsing Rivers State governor without even thinking of primaries. When you endorse someone, you have told everybody else to go and sleep. That is not a democracy. That's the kind of thing. That's not the kind of thing that we fought the military for, in order to then have impositions all over again. There will be no imposition in this political party called African Democratic Congress. Everyone will put their hat in the ring. Everybody will go there and fight and slug it out, and we'll get the best candidate, and we'll go out there and win Nigeria and win government.
What would you say is the general mood like in the ADC with this official announcement? Yes, there had been speculation for months. His Excellency Peter Obi was part of the coalition from the jump. We would see him at the meetings, but never an official resignation. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was the first to officially resign from the PDP and then join the ADC. And now we've seen that His Excellency Peter Obi has joined. But what is the general mood like within the ADC? So many influential figures. We have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, we have Peter Obi, we have Rotimi Amechi, and I mean, recently we heard of Abaribe joining the ADC as well. We also heard that some of your members had moved from the ADC to NNPP in Kano. I don't know if you saw the video yesterday of the NNPP leadership saying that those who betray the party, just in case they are planning to betray the party, they should know that they will not succeed. But let's get your reactions to that.
Again, you see, the most critical thing is that, again, we are not a cult, we are not a gang, we're a democratic political party, African Democratic Congress. People are free to move up and down. People are free to go wherever they want to go, as long as they don't go and then tell lies about what's happening in the party. They complete the politics of saying, maybe I can't see a way forward, and then they can resign honorably and go to another party. That is allowed. That is constitutional. That is exactly what we have benefited from in ADC. People have resigned from their various parties and come to join us. So we will expect that a certain percentage will also decide that, okay, you know what, I cannot survive in this huge ocean called ADC. I'd rather be a golden fish in a smaller pond. And so they will go. So that's not a problem for us at all. And I don't think, I think the fact that we have been open in ADC, the fact that we are kind of accommodating in ADC, in itself is a reflection of the kind of democracy that Nigeria is looking for. The way we are governing ADC is sending a message about how we're going to govern Nigeria. Because if we're not inclusive, if we're only thinking tribal or religious sentiments then people are going to be afraid that this is going to end up becoming a regional party or a religious or tribal party or a party belonging to just one particular person and group. And that's really what most of us have run away from in deciding that ADC is the party we wanted to be part of. And here we're benefiting from that vision and that philosophy. So we now have probably the most diverse party in the history of Nigeria, and it's good for Nigeria, and I think Nigerians will buy into it.
If you're saying this about the ADC, would you agree that the APC can say the same thing as well? Because we've seen a lot of people moving to the APC. You know, the South is practically APC at the moment. Do you have the same sentiments about the APC and the defections that have happened?
No, the reason I don't have those sentiments is that the members of the Houses of Assembly in those states are the ones who have not joined ADC with Peter Obi. So there's a difference between individuals who are the leadership, who are elected, who have decided to decamp for their own pecuniary interests, and the general people themselves who are elected as representatives are following them. So while we might say that there's some similarity, the difference is very clear. These people only join the government in power because the government is in power. The question you will have asked yourself is this: will they have joined if the government is not in power? Will they have decided to leave their own political parties if the government is not in power? So there's a difference between people freely joining a political party that is not in power, that does not have the resources to splash out and give, as we have seen, 50 billion in some instances, 30 billion here, and then up. You know, Nigeria is almost a crime scene when you think of the way we play with our Commonwealth. No, we are a party that has attracted people because we truly have the heart of Nigeria. When we say the word arise and shine in ADC, it's actually from the Bible. It's from Isaiah 60, arise and shine for your light has come. So that means the timing is when people are seeing and hearing and say, okay, you know what? It's time for Nigeria to rise up and shine, and we're going to make it happen. That's different from people just going to the money. We are not here gathering for money. We really, truly think it's time to make a difference. And by the way, I know that references are made to all these big people. I think a lot of people have forgotten that there's a lot of ordinary Nigerians who have joined ADC. As a state chairman, I know how many thousands. Just on 31st, I was in Suli receiving people, young people, diverse people from Labour Party who have joined us in Suli 2 weeks before it was Ojo. So these are ordinary people that have joined even before their principals joined. So I think we have to be clear that Nigerians just feel maybe this is our best way forward, really.
Now, Mr. Ashiru, I'm glad you mentioned Lagos, and that brings us, let's move away from the federal for a bit. That brings me to Lagos. The ruling party in Lagos has effectively been ruling since 1999, even though the party has metamorphosized from Alliance for Democracy to ACN to what we have today as APC. Are there any plans at the state level to challenge this administration, the APC administration in Lagos State, or is it a foregone conclusion?
Yeah, what is the purpose of the coalition? The purpose of the coalition, which is extremely successful in Lagos, probably even more successful in Lagos than anywhere else, is to actually, for a change, remove impunity that we have experienced, remove the dictatorship that we've experienced, remove oppression that we've experienced. As a state chairman of African Democratic Congress, you're all aware, the whole world is aware of how we couldn't even gather in Alimosho several months ago. But let me tell you that since then, the powers of this state have sent police to prevent ADC gatherings in at least 6 separate occasions since then, including just 2 weeks ago when I went to Ojo, and they sent lorry loads of policemen to stop an ADC gathering. Why would you do that if you're not afraid that this is a credible alternative that will challenge you? So right now we are the David against the Goliath. We are right now the chance that the people have to give them a voice and an opportunity to speak. So we have almost all the top people in Labour Party in Lagos have come to join us. All the top people and all the leaders of PDP in Lagos have come to join us. We have the APCs with the Omoluwa. In fact, we have over 10 different political movements already in ADC in Lagos. And I'm talking including political parties whose members have resigned to join us. As I'm speaking to you in the next few days, we're going to have sitting members of the House of Reps joining us. So what other message can we send to the fact that, okay, this is the time for this long-running, long-standing institution that simply sees itself as what PDP used to call themselves, so a decade and a half ago, that he would never leave power. That Lagosians are just saying, no, you know what? We need to try something different. And Lagosians are going to speak on the polls. I assure you that it's going to be a political tsunami. It doesn't matter how much money they spend at the grassroots. It doesn't matter how much rights they give and palliatives and cash transfers they do. When people are tired, it's like a wife that is abused. The wife will still leave. And that's exactly what is going to happen in Lagos politics.
All right.
Lagos,
yeah.
I mean, Lagos in the four. I was going to ask, I mean, we do understand that Very Vival Roads is with the ADC. Are there any plans in terms of looking forward to having any convention soon, especially in Lagos? I do see online that after the successful launch of your office in Abuja, there's been reports or statements that there might be pocket-sized convention and meetings. The last one you highlighted and just mentioned, the one that was marred by violence here in Lagos. By the way, what's the ADC doing to also manage such situation, especially during the elections?
Well, our meetings are just party meetings. They're not conventions. They're just party meetings. They're, when the parties, when there's enough coalition going up, people are coming into the party. So we need to receive them. And it is the reception of new members that have been disrupted. We have it on good authority that local government chairmen and LCDA chairmen have been told to basically make sure that ADC doesn't breathe. This is exactly why we need to have a change. You cannot impose your will on the people in a democratic experience. It's just evil, and apart from the fact that it's illegal. And the fact that the police is playing that role and playing that part is worrisome for us as a country. So we're not having convention. A convention of the party is a national convention. It's held once a year. And it will be, the national will decide that. What will happen next in ADC this year, very soon, are the various congresses, the legal congresses that will determine party leaders. The party leaders are then the ones that will make the delegates that will attend the national primaries when the time comes. So the national primaries, including state primaries, by the way, all the way from the assembly primaries to House of Reps, they will be conducted at the state level, and then the national primaries will determine who will be the presidential candidate. The guidelines should be released as soon as INEC blows the whistle. When INEC blows the whistle, any party that has not previously organized its congresses, including ADC, will then start organizing their congresses peacefully, in whatever manner we think is according to the Constitution. And it is at the end of that we will then face the internal primaries to choose our various candidates. And then we will then have the national convention that will produce the presidential candidate. The whole process probably will take about 2 months, 2.5 months. But as soon as INEC blows the whistle, the party will respond by publishing these details. But for now, the details are not yet done because we're yet to have the meeting to ratify all of these decisions.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. George Ashiru, Chairman of the African Democratic Congress, Lagos State. And we look forward to talking to you again. And maybe, just maybe, the so-called, like you said, there's no faction, but the ones who tag themselves as factions.
The group.
The group. Maybe we should refer to
Thank you, group.
The group, okay. The group will possibly put out a press release again. Thanks for your time and have a wonderful one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful year too.